There being 35 ayes and 30 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. There will be decorum in the chamber. The next bill on special orders is House File number 4, number 30 on general orders. Senator Mohamed.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this is House File 4, driver's licenses for all. I want to take a moment to start by acknowledging the importance of this moment. Undocumented Minnesotans have been fighting since undocumented Minnesotans' freedom was taken away from them in 2003. And they've been fighting ever since then. They've been coming to this building, they've been talking to us and asking us to restore the freedom to drive. Just outside this chamber, there are hundreds of immigrants whose lives will be completely transformed by this bill. And we have the power to do that. They'll be able to drive to work. They'll be able to take their kids to school. They'll be able to take their kids to the playground. And they'll be able to live their lives with dignity. There have been so many people who've been doing this work for over the last 2 decades. And I want to honor some of those people. They've spent 20 years working tirelessly to bring us to this moment. Over the last 20 years, a huge coalition has taken an action to restore the freedom to drive. And there have been hunger strikes. People have slept outside the chamber. They have camped outside of here. They've traveled all corners of this state and in between to ask us, the legislators, to do the right thing and restore the freedom to drive. Even as they've been told no over and over and over again, they've never stopped. They've built a rare and a deep coalition, united in seeing this bill become law. They've built a power from the ground up. During the pandemic, an estimated 69% of immigrants worked and continue to work in frontline and essential jobs. When we needed frontline workers to do essential jobs, it was our immigrant communities that stepped up. When we needed people to take care of our loved ones, it was our immigrant communities that stepped up. They take on the jobs that many people do not want. Tonight, we have an opportunity to join 18 other states, including Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, in passing driver's licenses for all. We can correct the policy failures of yesterday and ensure that everyone in our state has a dignity, and ensure the dignity of all Minnesotans. To the community that's outside of this chamber and the entirety of the Driver's License Coalition across our state, thank you. We hear you. And we see you. And we recognize your tireless work. You belong in our community. You belong in our beloved community, and it would not be our beloved community if it wasn't for you. Thank you. Through the Throughout the decades of this work, they've built the immigrant justice movement. And that movement will continue to live on and grow. Members, the federal government has failed time and time again to build a pathway towards citizenship. And in an immigration system that has harmed Minnesotans, the practical response, the just response, is to offer undocumented immigrants the opportunity to earn a driver's license here. I'm the latest author of this bill, but there have been so many people who have been doing this work and who are currently doing it alongside me. And I want to thank our Senate leadership for doing this so swiftly. I want to thank Senator Latz and Senator Dibble for their decades of work in carrying this bill and their persistent belief in its importance. To my partner, Senator Champion, I have a deep amount of gratitude for your mentorship and guidance, for passing me the torch as I have done this alongside you, and for showing me the ropes. Your partnership in this has made this moment possible, and you've done it for decades, so thank you. This work started when I was just 5 years ago, when I was just 5 years old. And I heard about it when we first immigrated to this state. And as a young girl, I would hear about all the people who are coming to the Capitol, fighting for driver's licenses. And they're here today. That's who I represent. Those are the people I relate to. Those are the people that I'm fighting for. And you know, members, we're in the people's house. And part of that is recognizing that this is their bill. This is not my bill. This is the people's work. This bill has been perfected for over 20 years. And these people have been fighting for it and asking us to do the right thing. This bill is bipartisan across the state of Minnesota. Labor groups support it. The chamber supports it. Faith groups across the state support it. They support this bill because they know it'll improve our public safety, that it'll grow our economy, and it's good for human dignity. It's bipartisan across the state of Minnesota, except here in the legislature. And it's time we stop playing politics with people's lives. It's time we do the right thing. It's bipartisan across the state of Minnesota, except here. And there's something wrong with that. And I know a lot of my friends across the aisle and I will debate about this, as we've debated about it over the course of the last few weeks. And I welcome it. And I appreciate it. But I ask you to be respectful and kind tonight, because the people who've been fighting for this, who are affected by this issue, are families, their children, and they're in this building. And we're in the middle of a winter storm. And I hear there are 5 more buses coming here, all over from the state of Minnesota. Not from Minneapolis, not from St. Paul, but in Worthington, and in Rochester, and in Shakopee. These people are your neighbors, whether you like it or not. Whether you want to acknowledge their humanity or not, they are your neighbors. And so I welcome a debate tonight, and a healthy one. But I ask you to be respectful. And I thank you for listening to them over the course of the last few weeks and months that they've been working on this. This is their bill. We're in the people's house, and this is the people's bill. And I thank you.
Senator Howell. Senator Champion. Sorry.
Madam President, members, thank you so much for being here tonight. As I often will say, weathering the storm, in order for us to do something that is well overdue. You know, Madam President, Senator Mohamed made me feel old. Because she said that when this was being done 20 years ago, she was 5 years old or something like that. Now, for that alone, I'm not sure what I'm going to think about that, Madam President. But what it signifies is the fact that many of us, where I carried this bill and it passed here, we've been fighting for driver's license for all for quite some time, and we've stayed the course because it is right. And driver's license for all really is about an opportunity which includes public safety for all of us. Families, loved ones, moms, dads, sons, daughters, regardless of their immigration status, should have an opportunity to drive. After they demonstrate the capacity, get insurance, we want them to drive upon our roads safely. You know, it's really interesting is because the families who need this driver's license are like any of our families. They get up and go to work. They have kids. And you know, if you have more than one child of school age, they're involved in a number of activities that you got to drive them back and forth. And the truth be told, I couldn't wait until my sons got their driver's license because I was really quite tired of driving in places. I'm sure they feel that same way. My friends who are in the galleries, who are watching us online, those who've been fighting with me every step of the way, and now fighting with me and Senator Mohamed to make their dream a reality. You know, it's really true, and you got something on your desk that says, this is a driver's license, not a voting card, not a benefits card, but a well-earned driver's license. And members, Senator Mohamed, Madam President, articulated with clarity the various groups, and you'll see more information come out later on throughout the evening, various groups who support this driver's license for all. But I'm going to elevate one in particular. Law enforcement supports this bill. And Madam President, I'm sure that others are saying, why are you lifting up law enforcement? There's so many others who also support this bill. It's because in the past, we have in this chamber looked at law enforcement and we've always respected their opinion and we've always followed their lead, because if law enforcement says it, quite naturally, we believe it's good. And you know what, Madam President? It is good that law enforcement supports this bill because this is the right thing to do. So the folks who want to drive, and I heard Senator Mohamed, Madam President, talk about we will have a robust debate, but that we would do it, and I hope that we would do it with respect and with human decency and with the consideration that our children are watching, with the consideration that other Minnesotans are watching. Regardless of the way we feel about something, it's not what we say, but it's how we say it. And I hope that we will remember that tonight, because the folks who want to drive are also Minnesotans. So members, I'm looking forward to a robust debate tonight. And at the end of this evening, I'm going to stand after, or maybe even before, I don't know what Senator Mohamed is thinking, Madam President, to ask this body to vote green. And it's interesting that we'll be asking you to vote green because when you're on a highway or a road and there's a green light, it means go forward. I want us all to go forward and go forward together. Thank you, Madam President, and I look forward to a robust debate.
I'm going to call on Senator Jasinski, but I want to remind members and staff